only the debate when it comes to the border security aspect of this debate, but he also has to talk about what immigration reform looks like for him. Because it is the appearance to a lot of the Democrats, or at least they try to frame this argument, that the president is anti-immigration. He has to squash that in this speech today because he's never going to be able to get that border security unless he changes that narrative with the American people. So the president has to say, he has to address DACA, all right? He has to address what that symbolic wall means.
So let me ask you about that specifically, because I think this would be a good opportunity for him to lay out some specifics on DACA and say, as Tommy was saying, tell the Democrats exactly what he's willing to do in exchange for more money at the border. Because if you're one of these DACA dreamers, these kids who were brought over by their parents, you want to know that your future is a little bit more secure.
You're exactly right. And traditionally, throughout these negotiations, his opportunity to gain ground. And he does that by showing that he's a president of compromise.
Now, David, I want to talk about something because he is gaining ground in terms of support for the wall. Still more Americans, according to the Fox News poll, oppose the idea of a wall, but support for it has actually gone up 4 points since September last year.
Right.
And people are now, through this sort of ongoing argument, seeing the wall in different terms, as opposed to a giant monolithic structure that stretches 2,000 miles. As the president and some of his colleagues in Congress talk about some of the finer points and narrowing their demands, do you think that's the key in order to bring up more support, or does that tank his base?
First of all, and I know I'm going to upset a lot of pollsters with this, don't care what the pollsters think. Don't care what the pollsters say. If you put a camera up on your front door and take the door down, which is what Democrats are essentially suggesting, do you have security? If you have that door wide open in a camera, you can only see who comes in. Polls are great for driving narratives, but they're not the reality of security. Here, security is the real issue. And the issue is, do you have control of entry and egress from the nation? And who does that? So the president did something brilliant when he had Pelosi and Schumer, and they were sitting there in the Oval Office. He took the sword of Damocles away because Republicans, including Paul Ryan, who lied to the president month after month about not having the votes to pass a bill in the House. We saw that pass in the House. We knew otherwise. And Democrats who are resisting were both wrong. He said, fine, I'll take the blame. They're all worried about their risk-averse position of I'm a politician and how I go home on February 15th. The polls don't matter. I've talked to the president about this. I've talked to the vice president about this and other cabinet officials.
Well,
they are not going to
polls
give...
can show you trends, though. They may not be exact in every moment, but if you intuit the feeling of people and you see that some of their attitudes are changing, you can tell that when you go to a coffee shop and you hear the way people are talking differently about it.
Personal space. Guess what? The poll doesn't matter. If it goes to say that you should...
The votes do matter, and that's the reality. We can go back.
Here's where the votes come back. If I can just finish this point.
I want to bring Tommy in here because as support for the wall has ticked up, the president has taken a hit with some of his biggest supporters in the Republican Party, and that support has waned a little bit. Is it possible to shore that up in one night and one speech, especially in terms of an issue that is so divisive?
You guys were talking about it in the panel there, and I wanted to pipe in because we talked about a legal status, you talk about DACA, whereas I think that the president should bring up DACA and he should say, hey, I'm throwing the Democrats a bone here. I thought they wanted to protect 700,000 some odd dreamers. I think he can talk about that. But the worst thing that the president can do tonight is talk about amnesty or legal status for the millions of Americans who are living here illegally. That's the worst thing that he can do because he doesn't have the wall yet.
But Tommy, to your point, the president has already said that he's used the term, I
I love the Dreamers. I support the Dreamers. That's the language that he has used discussing this group of people who feels as though they are in deportation limbo.
Well, the DACA, the Dreamers, that's a different story than amnesty or legal status for the 10 to 20 million people that are living in this country currently. So yes, I think we can talk about DACA, we can talk about the Dreamers, that's a much lower number, but the worst thing that he could go in is not be tough on the wall and border funding and then talk about a pathway to citizenship or amnesty, because I can tell you this, his supporters who fill stadium, build that wall, will not vote for him in 2020 if he does not secure that border. Then we can talk about legal status, we can talk about amnesty, quasi-amnesty, whatever you want to call it, but that cannot happen until we have border funding, or I'm telling you, he is done in 2020. His supporters will not turn out for him.
Here's the problem. I feel that Democrats do the same thing, is they conflate the three issues, because the border and immigration law and amnesty, those are three different things. And when you lump them all together into one messy blob, that's when it's politically problematic. I think if the president is a little bit more surgical and he's able to take these things apart, he's much more likely to have success where it's most necessary for him. And on that front, it's border security.
No, and I agree with you. I believe that they are separate issues, but I believe that one has to come before the others, and that's border security and enforcement. Because if this president doesn't get funding for that wall now, he will never get it again. And whoever we get in 2020, if it's not Trump, they will never fund a wall. If in 2024, if we get a rhino, put them up, we will never get wall funding. So yes, I believe we can separate those issues, but one has to come before the other. Now is the only opportunity that we're going to have to get wall funding, so he better get it, he better go for it. And if he starts talking about amnesty and legal status for 10 to 20 million people, he will lose in 2020.
But I think that it looks like we've actually missed the opportunity to get it from Congress. And so, unfortunately, because of the failure to get to a compromise vote, to get to the 60 votes required in the Senate, I think that ship has sailed. So the question now is, what mechanisms does the president have? What levers can he pull in order to get this wall, this fence built, which not necessarily a go-around Congress, but I think he'll probably address potentially a military option tonight. He's going to address sending thousands of troops to the border. So I think that the president's team, it's reported that they're not going to declare a national emergency night, but that's clearly still something
there's no
that he could
need
do.
to declare a national emergency
The
now.
ship has sailed, though, I think, of getting this funding
I think
from Congress.
national emergency, I don't think that's unifying. And I think when he talks about unity, I think
here's
he's
the thing.
incredibly serious about that. And he's going to lay out some themes tonight that Democrats can't resist. And I know I cannot resist Diamond and Silk. Silk, bring it to me, my friend. Your other half, Diamond, she's at the State of the Union address right now. What's the backstory? How did she get in there? And why are you not there?
Well, basically, there was an invitation that was granted to us, and they only had one seat. And immediately, I told her, I want you to go, because this has been her lifelong dream to be there, sitting there at the State of the Union. I said, I'll stay back and hold down the fort. You go and be at the State of the Union address. And I'm so happy that she's gone. She is excited about this, and so we're excited for her. And I'm waiting on her to get back here to the hotel so she can just tell us all what went down.
Yeah, we want to hear as well what happens in person, because as you know, Silk, there's so much that goes on that the cameras don't necessarily catch. And there are a lot of people who wait hours and hours to meet the president, who pretend they don't like him. But that critical time pressing the flesh with the commander-in-chief, there's still some currency there, isn't there?
Well, yes, it is. But good thing about Diamond, we've already met the president, so she's going to be on her way dashing right back.
She's not going to be waiting.
No, she's going to dash out and then go ahead and get back here to the hotel.
That nerdy Adam Schiff with his skinny neck, he's going to be there, just hoping to get a sniff of the president.
Well, basically, but can I just also say that we need to also make sure he implement, our president, we want to make sure he also implement the fact that we're paying billions of dollars to fund illegal aliens whenever they cross that border illegally. Our tax dollars, American tax dollars, are being used to fund illegal aliens. Our tax dollars is what's being used to fund sanctuary cities with AIDS and obeys illegal aliens. It's time for him to call out the naked, nasty truth, and that's what I want my president to do.
Well, I
tonight.
want to ask you about the naked and nasty truth, and that is the person who invited your other half to the State of the Union speech. Do you have any personal issue with Steve King?
I do not have any personal issue with Steve King. Steve King started one of our movies for
best protocol for anyone who's sitting down with the press, because if there's ever an issue and you need to correct the record, you have to be able to have that physical evidence in your own hands. And a man who's got his chin in his hand right now is Lawrence Jones, and I don't think he's thrilled with the invitation that was extended tonight. What do you think about this?
Let me be clear. I've been in this movement for a minute now. I am against the media that targets people just because of race and try to use it to divide this country. But I've never liked Steve King because he's shown us who he is. Having the Confederate flag on his desk. Some of the racist comments that he said in the past about President Obama that had nothing to do with policy. You can criticize the president. You can target the left. You can call them out for their hypocrisy. But if you're racist, you're racist. And look, I believe in forgiveness, but I do believe that this was an effort for him to dodge people holding him accountable. And we can't on the right hold the Democrats accountable in Virginia with their racism and not hold our own racist people in our party accountable.
I have to agree with Lawrence here.
Well, I'm the guy who actually probably knows Steve King best, sitting at this table or sitting on camera and for a
He
lot of
delivers
years.
my babies.
All right. So Steve King,
Not true.
who I've known, I know that better. Steve King, one, is not a racist, but I'll tell you something that
Why
it
does he say
doesn't
dumb
exist.
things that can be
Well,
misconstrued as racist?
I will explain it. It's actually very simple. Steve King, who, and I would not have said it, and I've told him before, in the political world, you can't say things, likes to challenge things and likes to ask. And the New York Times article, which was the kind of the genesis of this latest under the bus movement by the Republicans, was actually falsely mischaracterizing what he likes to do, which is tweak the intellect. And he was asking more of a linear question, when did this become? He wasn't asking, is it if I'm a white nationalist, when does this become? I don't associate with racists, Lawrence. And I know people, and I find it hard. I'm not calling Ralph Northam a racist because doing blackface
I don't know, man.
I call it like I see it.
Racism means that you feel that one group is superior to the other.
What do you think white nationalism is?
Based on their ethnicity. Ralph Northam, who I have problems with because of his liberal progressive policies, the abortion bill and other things, I am not ready to even classify him as a racist, nor am I to classify Michael Ertel, the Secretary of State in Florida who resigned on January 24th, a Republican, because he was in a dress with a stuffed bra and blackface. Just like the ridiculous nature of this argument over Mary Poppins, Dick Van Dyke in a scene in a movie. Racism takes more than that. And as somebody sitting here who has interviewed, yes, back in the 90s,
There's a history behind blackface. There's a history behind blackface.
Yes, there is.
So
And
to
it's
just,
I mean, there's
it's
a
not,
difference
it's not
between-
all racism.
And by the way, when you're the governor of Virginia, you should have a much better handle on some of the issues that have plagued the history of your Commonwealth.
I just, I'm not nearly as political as these two, and I respect David and agree with him on 99% of things, but I do believe Steve King is a racist from what he said. I do not believe he deserves a place in the Republican Party, and while I'm a foreign policy expert, I want to go on the record that if he would like to come out and apologize for what he said, I believe in redemption, and I believe in forgiveness, but I
Lawrence and I were talking
deeply
about that
troubled by
last
the things
night.
he said.
Absolutely.
And we
And
agree
those
on a
are-
lot of things.
And by the way,
It's
hold on, those are ideals that are gravely missing from
That's right.
our national
That's
discourse
right.
right now on all sides.
Yeah.
And that is the truth. Now, Silk, I want to go to you and give you the last word on this.
Thank you. Do you know the definition of racist or racism? A lot of you all have gotten it twisted, and you think that because somebody says something or somebody said they say something, it makes them a racist. That is a lie, and that is not true. Okay? That's what they've been doing, especially the left. We got to understand where did racism come from. It came from the left-leaning liberals, the Democrats. They were the party of the KKK, of slavery, of KKK, and of segregation is what they were, a party of. They fought to keep slavery extended. They fought against stopping slavery. It was the Republican Party that wanted to stop slavery.
That was the birth of the Republican Party. It was through abolitionists and
But let me say this, Kennedy. I don't view Steve King as a racist based off of something somebody said he said.
No, I think it's just based off what he said.
He said what he said, and I will say this too. I'm fully aware of the history of the Republican Party, but with many conversations it's about what have you done lately for people.
Yeah.
And so if the Republican Party wants to get more black folks to support them, when you see people like this, call them out and that are related to black people. You can't just say unemployment numbers. You got to go to the community and ask them for their vote. And when you have the Confederate flag on your desk, don't be surprised when black people don't want to come to your office. Because a lot of people that come from the state of Texas like me, that means you're not welcome.
But what does that say about the Democrat Party?
I understand about the Democrat. I've been fighting the Democratic Party for a while. I went undercover and exposed the Democratic Party.
I think what
but when it comes to my party and the people that I support, I got to hold them too accountable.
And I think that's what he's saying, Silk, is the Republican Party can do better. And the Republican Party can expect more from elected officials who operate under that mantle. And Lawrence is absolutely right. And the things that unite us are much greater than the things that divide us.
But does honesty unite us in this respect? If I could for a minute. I understand the optics of politics, and I agree with you. The flag on the desk, especially in a time when a bunch of cowards running around don't understand or want to discuss history for what it is. Confederacy is part of the history of the United States. Slavery is a part of the history of the United States. So is the suffragette movement, the end of segregation, and all the things we've done. That evolution didn't come from nowhere. It came from something. I would rather have an intellectually honest discussion, which is oftentimes ugly and difficult, realizing that, yes, in politics, to your point, optics matter. So, and again, I've said this to Steve.
David, that's not optics, though. They lost.
It's not just
one flag won. So why do you don't complain
so
about the players kneeling and being pro-American flag and then put that flag on your desk.
I'm not saying put it on your desk, but I'm saying there's also a movement by many in this country who are cowards intellectually, right, left, and otherwise, who are afraid of the dark history of America and want to pretend it didn't exist. The fact is the Confederate flag is a part of our history. He was tweaking people, and by the way, the debate's been had where to move it,
Well,
and
guess
that's
what?
what he likes to do.
Are going
And people
to
reacted
and,
to
and
it.
can I just say something? Because my daughters are growing up in a very diverse place. They grew up in New York City, and they see people from all walks of life, from all classes, and all ethnic backgrounds, and all religious backgrounds.
Oh my God, for fuck's
You
sake.
know what drives me crazy? On Martin Luther King Day, when they should be in school learning about Dr. King and his message and his beautiful words, they're given the day off.
Yeah.
And that's when people go and have mattress sales, and it's 50% off at the Gap. And that's what we've gotten in this country. And it drives me insane.
We've gotten there because of a certain level one of people wanting a day off, but of ignorance about who we are as a country.
it is unanswerable. And the people who are often accused of it are the last ones to really do a deep dive and figure out what that means and, come clean and apologize. But
can I say one thing? Tim Scott didn't invite us to the State of the Union. It was Steve King, and we thank him for the extension of inviting us to the State of the
Well,
Union.
I'm glad Diamond is there. She's going to give us an update afterward. And Silk, I just want people to know this is the kind of honest discussion and debate you will always get on Fox Nation. You're not going to see this anywhere else because this is opinion done right. And to see all of the tons and tons of exclusive content and original documentaries, you have to subscribe to Fox Nation. And I hope you do. You don't know how? Well, don't worry. Diamond and Silk have a tutorial for us. Check this out.
Thanks, Abby. Can't wait to see you on Fox Nation. That's right. Now, Fox Nation is not just Fox News. It's Fox News intensified with excitement to boost your curiosity. Let us break it down. Break it on down. Fox Nation has a library full of new original content like documentaries, live shows, and even weekly programming full of raw honesty and truth. That's right. Think of it as a Netflix for conservatives. If you don't have Fox Nation now, then it's time for you to stop what you're doing. Stop. And let's sign up right now. So here's how you do it. You pick up your phone and put it in your hand right now. That's right. Then go to the phone app store or Play Store and search for Fox Nation. Opinion done right. Click the Get or Install button. Bing. And after that, you're halfway there. Now, once that red, white, and blue Fox Nation app is on your home screen, we need to get you signed up. That's right. And if you see my girl Britt wearing her beautiful pink dress and other Fox Nation hosts, that means you're on the right screen. That's right. Now, click the red button to start your free trial and then choose which plan you want. Like which plan will work for you. Like what will be better for you. That's right. Because if it was Diamond and Silk, we already know what plan we'll pick. The yearly plan. That's right. Once you choose your documentary, along Diamond and Silk. Oh, and by the way,
No, come on.
to watch all of this goodness. This streaming service is also available on your computer at foxnation.com and even on your smart TV through the Fox Nation app. So let's get this party started right. Download the Fox Nation app or visit foxnation.com. Don't delay. Sign up today so you can hear what all of the Fox Nation hosts have to say.
You got it? Get it. Nice. We're just 30 minutes from hearing President Trump. As we wait, let's take a look at a teaser for some of the best State of the Union moments from the past as presidents address the nation in times of triumph, turmoil, and tragedy. Watch.
The president shall from time to time give to their Congress information of the State of the Union.
Everyone outside the White House pays attention. For the American people, it's a moment when they want to see what's happening with our government, and that's important for our democracy.
Mr. Vice President, members of Congress.
I think he tried to use that podium to effect. I think he succeeded to effect.
I didn't know if I was even going to make it out. Firefighter David Dahlberg.
The most important is that one thing that people don't know.
Preston Sharp, a 12-year-old boy who noticed that veterans' graves were not marked with flags. The state of our union is strong because our people are strong.
When the State of the Union is being prepared, there's not a lot else going on because it's a massive project.
I came into the Reagan orbit in early 80.
I was his chief speechwriter for President George W. Bush.
And you have to have discussions with key members of the staff.
A different group of people who would work on the theatrics of it. That was done in the family theater. I assigned one person to do the social section, one person to do the foreign affairs. The most important factor is the promises the president made. This is a chance to bring that home.
The world has seen what we always knew, that no people on earth are so fearless or daring or determined as Americans.
It's fascinating stuff, and the documentary you will only see on Fox Nation. So hopefully that jogged your memory a little bit from last year, because it is now time for that illustrious quiz. Quizmaster and host of Quiz Show, Tom Shalhoub, is in the house. Tom, welcome to the Fox Nation State of the Union coverage.
Thank you, Kennedy. And we've put together a bunch of State of the Union related questions. Are you guys ready? What we're going to do, because this State of the Union is about working together.
Nice.
So you guys can work together on an answer. How's that?
Okay, collusion. Excellent.
Yeah. You guys are going to collude for the answer. Yeah.
I'll be Roger Stone, you be Putin, you be the rest of Russia, and you can be Christopher Steele.
Okay.
Question number one.
I have sat at the Russian Federation desk in the UN, just for the record.
Exciting.
Okay, which president gave the first televised
I know this.
State of the
I even know the
Union
year.
address?
See? It was 1947, Harry Truman. Oh.
There you go.
Wow.
You know the year and the date. And you are right, Harry Truman. Harry Truman is right. Do we get a ding or anything? I'll just do my own dings. There we go. Question number 2. Which president gave the first State of the Union address by radio broadcast? Was it
Franklin Delano Roosevelt,
Ronald Reagan, Calvin Coolidge, or FDR? Talk amongst yourselves.
The panel says Roosevelt.
Panel says Roosevelt. You going to go with that, Kennedy? You're going to be the group leader.
I will. Although I love Calvin Coolidge, he's one of my very favorite presidents. It was
he was a
Franklin D.
suffragette.
Roosevelt who was so good at captivating the nation via radio.
Franklin D. Roosevelt. Is she right? No. Yes.
And I love Calvin Coolidge.
Yeah. Okay, question number 3. What was the State of the Union address previously referred to as? Was it the annual message, the economic report, or the president's report?
The annual message.
Oh, wow. You guys all knew that one, huh? What about you, Morgan? Do you agree with that? Okay.
Oh, wow.
Well, yes, no, I did. That was clearly the short answer.
It was the annual message. Okay, here we go. Who was the first president to honor special guests during the address? Was it Bill Clinton,
I know this
Ronald
one,
Reagan, or John
know
F.
all of this?
Kennedy?
Because I studied for tonight. It
Oh,
was
wow.
Ronald Reagan.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. Tradition started by Ronald
Do
Reagan.
you guys believe Kennedy?
Yes. She's
Okay.
very trustworthy.
Yeah.
Go with Ronald Reagan. Are
She's
they right?
undefeated right now.
Yes, it was Ronald Reagan.
Yay! Another president who captivated through a medium that he absolutely mastered.
You know who his guest was? It was actually Nancy Reagan's astrologer. I'm kidding.
Oh.
Okay.
I was like, okay.
Could be, right?
This is business.
Question number 5. Which president delivered the most State of the Union addresses? Was it
Couldn't be
George
Carter.
W.
He didn't last long.
Jimmy Carter or Franklin Delano?
Sorry, everyone. Give me a minute. Hold on. It's just... Sorry, everyone. It's just I'm kind of having a hard time understanding this a little bit, so bear with me. Bear with me. I'm really new to this. So let me get to the screen. Oh come. Ugh. Okay. Now, please let me share the screen. Thank you. For Christ's sake, how hard is that to do? So yeah, again, I'm trying to not really my best time, so I'm trying to do something special for you guys. Plus, this should be a learning experience for me. Okay, let's see here.
chair appoints as members of the committee on the part of the House to escort the President of the United States into the chambers. The gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Hoyer. The gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Clyburn. The gentleman from New Mexico, Mr. Lujan. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Jeffries. The gentlewoman from Massachusetts, Ms. Clark. The gentlewoman from Illinois, Ms. Bustos. The gentlewoman from California, Ms. Hill. The gentleman from California, Mr. McCarthy. The gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise. The gentlewoman from Wyoming, Ms. Cheney. The gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer. The gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Palmer. The gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Walker. The gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Smith.
The President of the Senate, at the direction of that body, appoints the following senators as members of the committee on the part of the Senate to escort the President of the United States into the House chamber. Senator from Kentucky, Mr. McConnell. Senator from South Dakota, Mr. Thune. Senator from Iowa, Mr. Grassley. Senator from Wyoming, Mr. Barraza. Senator from Missouri, Mr. Blunt. Senator from Iowa, Ms. Ernest. Senator from Indiana, Mr. Young. The Senator from New York, Mr. Schumer. The Senator from Illinois, Mr. Durbin. The Senator from Washington, Mrs. Murray. The Senator from Michigan, Ms. Stabenow. The Senator from Massachusetts, Ms. Warren. The Senator from Minnesota, Ms. Klobuchar. And the Senator from Wisconsin, Ms. Baldwin.
Members of the escort committee will exit through the lobby doors. I don't see where that one is. Oh, there it is, the lobby door.
Hello?
I mean, that is also a matter of practicality, and that's something that libertarians and liberty-minded have offered up over and over again. If that's not the magnet, then the magnet is for people to come here and work and do great things. It's not just do you want to be safe, it's who do you want coming into this country.
Right, and we have to
I
be
want
selective.
hard-working people who, have an investment in this country, but I don't see everyone who comes here as a bad person, as a human trafficking terrorist.
And I
rapist.
disagree with the merit-based side of it, because when it comes to merit, I think there's something fundamentally wrong having their greatest people come instead of building their own country.
Let's bring Tommy in. Tommy has a thought here and wants to respond to the panel. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, anytime we talk about immigration, of course, I get really fired up. But, you were talking about the people coming over here not being bad people. And I agree with you. A lot of the people that want to come over here are not bad people. And having this country not be secured, it is a magnet for everyone to come into this country. Because let's face it, it's the greatest nation on the face of the earth. Even if they are people coming over here for a better life, I want everyone to remember this. Those people that are coming over illegally, they are still paying thousands and thousands of dollars, anywhere between $6,000 and $15,000 or more, to coyotes and criminal organizations to get across this country illegally. So they are funding those very organizations that cause problems in their home country. So anytime we have an open border, we are asking for an infestation. We are asking for a magnet to be in place for everyone to come over here and pay those criminal organizations to do it. That's why illegal immigration is a huge problem, no matter if all the people coming over here are great
by your
people.
own definition, illegal immigration is a huge problem because of the prohibition. And people are paying thousands of dollars to get into the country illegally because oftentimes that's the only way they can get in. And if you are willing to pay someone and risk your life and pay a lot more money than you've got in savings, then chances are when you get here, you are probably willing to work very hard in order to make your life better than how it was from whence you came.
But you have to do it in a legal manner. And you're right. I agree with you on that point, Kennedy, where you say that if we had less illegal immigration, we could have more legal immigration. And then they wouldn't have to come into this country illegally. They wouldn't have to pay smugglers and coyotes. They wouldn't have to be trafficked into this country illegally. We could have more mechanisms for legal immigration. But that's not possible when you have 10 to 20 or more million people in this country illegally already. You have to solve that problem. Otherwise, we're just adding more people to go live in the shadows. Even people that come across this country illegally, they don't want to live in the shadows. We have to put a system in place where legal immigrants have an easier time getting here, but that we don't allow illegal immigration. We have no tolerance for it.
Well, and to Morgan's point earlier, the First Lady making her way into the House chamber, looking absolutely stunning. She looks relaxed, a divine ombre.
I think this is the young man with the with the last name of Trump that
Joshua
she invited.
Trump. Yes, the young man who was bullied for his last name, and she invited him as the best is her anti-bullying cause. That's absolutely right. Silk, do you have any final thoughts before we hear from the president, my dear?
Certainly, yes. When you come to this country, you come here legally. Do it the right way, get in line, and wait your turn. As an American citizen, you have to follow the law. If you break the law, they're going to give you 3 hats and a cop behind a locked cell block after you've taken your mugshot. You're going straight to jail. So it's not fair to allow these people to come through the window of America instead of coming through the door.
Well, Silk is right on that. That is true. Yeah. When you break the law, average Americans have to pay the price of that. And I think that's why so many Americans are so upset to see people, because it seems like there is a middle ground to this. And when you just
Hawaiian Shirt Friday.
Right.
But here's something that I've heard so far.
I haven't
Hello.
talked in like 20 minutes. So, I just wanted to bring up that the president is going to talk about House chamber here as the speech is set to begin.
How am I not doing it?
Momentarily. Let's listen.
Thank you.
I'm so curious. Why are all the Democrat women in white?
I think it's like suffrage.
Madam Speaker, the President of the United States.
this and proved herself in that first confrontation with President Trump. John Carl, also our chief White House correspondent, also in Berlin. We know the president enjoys this. We're not exactly sure how he's going to handle Nancy Pelosi tonight.
Sure, George. And by the way, it was notable watching inside the chamber how almost all of the Democrats, the majority of Democrats, would not applaud as the president came in the chamber. That is just something you do not see in a State of the Union address. But George, I'm told the president's theme here is unity, reaching out to Democrats. And yet, today, there has been a debate all day in the West Wing about whether or not the president would congratulate Nancy Pelosi on becoming Speaker at the top of his speech. I was told there were versions of the speech today that had the congratulations in there and a version that did not have the congratulations in there. So for one key as to how far this message of unity will go, listen right now to whether or not the president will congratulate Nancy Pelosi.
The president will hand the vice president a copy of the speech. Will hand the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi a copy of the speech as well. There's the handshake for both. Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz. We saw the president greeting the members of the Joint Chiefs. He always talks about my generals, not as many right now.
Well, he only has generals left who are on active duty now, George. General Mattis, Secretary Mattis is, of course, gone. John Kelly is, of course, gone as well. But you saw Joe Dunford down there, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and Mark Milley, who's the chairman of the Army, the chief of staff of the Army, who will take over for Dunford.
President acknowledging the cheers right now. Now we see most of the House and Senate rising. Bernie Sanders, of course, he's looking at a presidential race again. Cecilia Vega, one of the big things on the table tonight, of course, is coming out of that shutdown, what the president will say about the wall.
And all those Democrats in there are waiting to see whether he will budge in any way on that wall. And frankly, we'll be watching to see if any Republicans decide to stand up and cheer, because the wall is in some ways controversial in their own party. The president loves this moment. He loves giving this speech. You can see it in his face. We've been told by sources at the White House that he has been practicing for days leading up to this, practicing off the teleprompter, and we'll see how that goes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, the First Lady of the United States, and my fellow Americans. We meet tonight at a moment of unlimited potential. As we begin a new Congress, I stand here ready to work with you to achieve historic breakthroughs for all Americans. Millions of our fellow citizens are watching us now gathered in this great chamber, hoping that we will govern not as two parties, but as one nation. The agenda I will lay out this evening is not a Republican agenda or a Democrat agenda. It's the agenda of the American people. Many of us have campaigned on the same core promises: to defend American jobs and demand fair trade for American workers, to rebuild and revitalize our nation's infrastructure, to reduce the price of health care and prescription drugs, to create an immigration system that is safe, lawful, modern, and secure, and to pursue a foreign policy that puts America's interest first. There is a new opportunity in American politics if only we have the courage together to seize it. victory is not winning for our party. Victory is winning for our country. This year, America will recognize two important anniversaries that show us the majesty of America's mission and the power of American pride. In June, we mark 75 years since the start of what General Dwight D. Eisenhower called the Great Crusade, the Allied liberation of Europe in World War II. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, 15,000 young American men jumped from the sky and 60,000 more stormed in from the sea to save our civilization from tyranny. Here with us tonight are three of those incredible heroes. Private First Class Joseph Riley, Staff Sergeant Irving Locker, and Sergeant Herman Zaitchik. Gentlemen, we salute you. In 2019, we also celebrate 50 years since brave young pilots flew 250,000 miles through space to plant the American flag on the face of the moon. Half a century later, we are joined by one of the Apollo 11 astronauts who planted that flag, Buzz Aldrin. Thank you, Buzz. This year, American astronauts will go back to space on American rockets. In the 20th century, America saved freedom, transformed science, redefined the middle class, and when you get down to it, there's nothing anywhere in the world that can compete with America. Now we must step boldly and bravely into the next chapter of this great American adventure. And we must create a new standard of living for the 21st century. An amazing quality of life for all of our citizens is within reach. We can make our community safer, our families stronger, our culture richer, our faith deeper, and our middle class bigger and more prosperous than ever before. But we must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of cooperation, compromise, and the common good. Together, we can break decades of political stalemate. We can bridge old divisions, heal old wounds, build new coalitions, forge new solutions, and unlock the extraordinary promise of America's future. The decision is ours to make. We must choose between greatness or gridlock, results or resistance, vision or vengeance, incredible progress or pointless destruction. Tonight, I ask you to choose greatness. Over the last 2 years, my administration has moved with urgency and historic speed to confront problems neglected by leaders of both parties over many decades. In just over 2 years since the election, we have launched an unprecedented economic boom, a boom that has rarely been seen before. There's been nothing like it. We have created 5.3 million new jobs, and importantly added 600,000 new manufacturing jobs, something which almost everyone said was impossible to do. But the fact is, we are just getting started. Wages are rising at the fastest pace in decades and growing for blue-collar workers who I promised to fight for. They're growing faster than anyone else thought possible. Nearly 5 million Americans have been lifted off food stamps. The U.S. economy is growing almost twice as fast today as when I took office. And we are considered far and away the hottest economy anywhere in the world, not even close. Unemployment has reached the lowest rate in over half a century. African American, Hispanic American, and Asian American unemployment have all reached their lowest levels ever recorded. Unemployment for Americans with disabilities has also reached an all-time low. More people are working now than at any time in the history of our country. 157 million people at work. We passed a massive tax cut for working families and doubled the child tax credit. We virtually ended the estate tax, or death tax, as it is often called, on small businesses, for ranches, and also for family farms. We eliminated the very unpopular Obamacare individual mandate penalty. And you give critically ill patients access to life-saving cures. We passed, very importantly, right to try. My administration has cut more regulations in a short period of time than any other administration during its entire tenure. Companies are coming back to our country in large numbers, thanks to our historic reductions in taxes and regulations. And we have unleashed a revolution in American energy. The United States is now the #1 producer of oil and natural gas anywhere in the world. And now, for the first time in 65 years, we are a net exporter of energy. After 24 months of rapid progress, our economy is the envy of the world. Our military is the most powerful on earth by far. And America is again winning each and every day. Members of Congress, the state of our union is strong. That sounds so good. Our country is vibrant and our economy is thriving like never before. On Friday, it was announced that we added another 304,000 jobs last month alone, almost double the number expected. An economic miracle is taking place in the United States And the only thing that can stop it are foolish wars, politics, or ridiculous partisan investigations. If there is going to be peace and legislation, there cannot be war and investigation. It just doesn't work that way. We must be united at home to defeat our adversaries abroad. This new era of cooperation can start with finally confirming the more than 300 highly qualified nominees who are still stuck in the Senate, in some cases, years and years waiting, not right. The Senate has failed to act on these nominations, which is unfair to the nominees and very unfair to our country. Now is the time for bipartisan action. Believe it or not, we have already proven that that's possible. In the last Congress, both parties came together to pass unprecedented legislation to confront the opioid crisis, a sweeping new farm bill, historic VA reforms, and after 4 decades of rejection, we passed VA accountability so that we can finally terminate those who mistreat our wonderful veterans. And just weeks ago, both parties united for groundbreaking criminal justice reform. They said it couldn't be done. Last year, I heard through friends the story of Alice Johnson. I was deeply moved. In 1997, Alice was sentenced to life in prison as a first-time nonviolent drug offender. Over the next 22 years, she became a prison minister, inspiring others to choose a better path. She had a big impact on that prison population and far beyond. Alice's story underscores the disparities and unfairness that can exist in criminal sentencing and the need to remedy this total injustice. She served almost that 22 years and had expected to be in prison for the remainder of her life. In June, I commuted Alice's sentence. When I saw Alice's beautiful family greet her at the prison gates, hugging and kissing and crying and laughing, I knew I did something right. Alice is with us tonight, and she is a terrific woman. Terrific. Alice, please. Alice, thank you for reminding us that we always have the power to shape our own destiny. Thank you very much, Alice. Thank you very much. Inspired by stories like Alice's, my administration worked closely with members of both parties to sign the First Step Act into law. Big deal. Big deal. This legislation reformed sentencing laws that have wrongly and disproportionately harmed the African American community. The First Step Act gives nonviolent offenders the chance to re-enter society as productive, law-abiding citizens. Now, states across the country are following our lead. America is a nation that believes in redemption. We are also joined tonight by Matthew Charles from Tennessee. In 1996, at the age of 30, Matthew was sentenced to 35 years for selling drugs and related offenses. Over the next 2 decades, he completed more than 30 Bible studies, became a law clerk, and mentored many of his fellow inmates. Now Matthew is the very first person to be released from prison under the First Step Act. Matthew, please. Thank you, Matthew. Welcome home. Now, Republicans and Democrats must join forces again to confront an urgent national crisis. Congress has 10 days left to pass a bill that will fund our government, protect our homeland, and secure our very dangerous southern border. Now is the time for Congress to show the world that America is committed to ending illegal immigration and putting the ruthless coyotes, cartels, drug dealers, and human traffickers out of business. As we speak, large, organized caravans are on the march to the United States. We have just heard that Mexican cities, in order to remove the illegal immigrants from their communities, are getting trucks and buses to bring them up to our country in areas where there is little border protection. I have ordered another 3,750 troops to our southern border to prepare for this tremendous onslaught. This is a moral issue. The lawless state of our southern border is a threat to the safety, security, and financial well-being of all America. We have a moral duty to create an immigration system that protects the lives and jobs of our citizens. This includes our obligation to the millions of immigrants living here today who followed the rules and respected our laws. Legal immigrants enrich our nation and strengthen our society in countless ways. I want people to come into our country in the largest numbers ever, but they have to come in legally. Tonight, I am asking you to defend our very dangerous southern border out of love and devotion to our fellow citizens and to our country. No issue better illustrates the divide between America's working class and America's political class than illegal immigration. Wealthy politicians and donors push for open borders while living their lives behind walls and gates and guards. Meanwhile, working class Americans are left to pay the price for mass illegal immigration. Reduced jobs, lower wages, overburdened schools, hospitals that are so crowded you can't get in, increased crime, and a depleted social safety net. Tolerance for illegal immigration is not compassionate. It is actually very cruel. One in 3 women is sexually assaulted on the long journey north. Smugglers use migrant children as human pawns to exploit our laws and gain access to our country. Human traffickers and sex traffickers take advantage of the wide open areas between our ports of entry to smuggle thousands of young girls and women into the United States and to sell them into prostitution and modern-day slavery. Tens of thousands of innocent Americans are killed by lethal drugs that cross our border and flood into our cities, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. The savage gang, MS-13, now operates in at least 20 different American states, and they almost all come through our southern border. Just yesterday, an MS-13 gang member was taken into custody for a fatal shooting on a subway platform in New York City. We are removing these gang members by the thousands, but until we secure our border, they're going to keep streaming right back in. Year after year, countless Americans are murdered by criminal, illegal aliens. I've gotten to know many wonderful angel moms and dads and families. No one should ever have to suffer the horrible heartache that they have had to endure. Here tonight is Deborah Bissell. Just 3 weeks ago, Deborah's parents, Gerald and Sharon, were burglarized and shot to death in their Reno, Nevada home by an illegal alien. They were in their 80s and are survived by 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 20 great-grandchildren. Also here tonight are Gerald and Sharon's granddaughter, Heather, and great-granddaughter, Madison. Deborah, Heather, Madison, please stand. Few can understand your pain. Thank you, and thank you for being here. Thank you very much. I will never forget, and I will fight for the memory of Gerald and Sharon, that it should never happen again. Not one more American life should be lost because our nation failed to control its very dangerous border. In the last 2 years, our brave ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of criminal aliens, including those charged or convicted of nearly 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 killings or murders. We are joined tonight by one of those law enforcement heroes, ICE Special Agent Elvin Hernandez. When Elvin was a boy, he and his family legally immigrated to the United States from the Dominican Republic. At the age of 8, Elvin told his dad he wanted to become a special agent. Today, he leads investigations into the scourge of international sex trafficking. Elvin says that if I can make sure these young girls get their justice, I've really done my job. Thanks to his work and that of his incredible colleagues, more than 300 women and girls have been rescued from the horror of this terrible situation. And more than 1,500 sadistic traffickers have been put behind bars. We will always support the brave men and women of law enforcement. And I pledge to you tonight that I will never abolish our heroes from ICE. Thank you. My administration has sent to Congress a common sense proposal to end the crisis on the southern border. It includes humanitarian assistance, more law enforcement, drug detection at our ports, closing loopholes that enable child smuggling, and plans for a new physical barrier or wall to secure the vast areas between our ports of entry. In the past, most of the people in this room voted for a wall, but the proper wall never got built. I will get it built. This is a smart, strategic, see-through steel barrier, not just a simple concrete wall. It will be deployed in the areas identified by the border agents as having the greatest need. And these agents will tell you where walls go up, illegal crossings go way, way down. San Diego used to have the most illegal border crossings in our country. In response, a strong security wall was put in place. This powerful barrier almost completely ended illegal crossings. The border city of El Paso, Texas, used to have extremely high rates of violent crime, one of the highest in the entire country, and considered one of our nation's most dangerous cities. Now, immediately upon its building, with a powerful barrier in place, El Paso is one of the safest cities in our country. Simply put, walls work and walls save lives. So let's work together, compromise, and reach a deal that will truly make America safe. As we work to defend our people's safety, we must also ensure our economic resurgence continues at a rapid pace. No one has benefited more from our thriving economy than women, who have filled 58% of the newly created jobs last year. You weren't supposed to do that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All Americans can be proud that we have more women in the workforce than ever before. Don't sit yet. You're going to like this. And exactly 1 century after Congress passed the constitutional amendment giving women the right to vote, we also have more women serving in Congress than at any time before. That's great. Very great. And congratulations. That's great. As part of our commitment to improving opportunity for women everywhere, this Thursday, we are launching the first ever government-wide initiative focused on economic empowerment for women in developing countries. To build on... To build on our incredible economic success, one priority is paramount: reversing decades of calamitous trade policies. So bad. We are now making it clear to China that after years of targeting our industries and stealing our intellectual property, the theft of American jobs and wealth has come to an end. Therefore, we recently imposed tariffs on $250 billion of Chinese goods, and now our Treasury is receiving billions and billions of dollars. But I don't blame China for taking advantage of us. I blame our leaders and representatives for allowing this travesty to happen. I have great respect for President Xi, and we are now working on a new trade deal with China. But it must include real structural change to end unfair trade practices, reduce our chronic trade deficit, and protect American jobs. Another historic trade blunder was the catastrophe known as NAFTA. I have met the men and women of Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, New Hampshire, and many other states whose dreams were shattered by the signing of NAFTA. For years, politicians promised them they would renegotiate for a better deal, but no one ever tried until now. Our new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, the USMCA, will replace NAFTA and deliver for American workers like they haven't had delivered to for a long time. I hope you can pass the USMCA into law so that we can bring back our manufacturing jobs in even greater numbers, expand American agriculture, protect intellectual property, and ensure that more cars are proudly stamped with our four beautiful words, made in the USA. Tonight, I am also asking you to pass the United States Reciprocal Trade Act so that if another country places an unfair tariff on an American product, we can charge them the exact same tariff on the exact same product that they sell to us. Both parties should be able to unite for a great rebuilding of America's crumbling infrastructure. I know that Congress is eager to pass an infrastructure bill, and I am eager to work with you on legislation to deliver new and important infrastructure investment, including investments in the cutting-edge industries of the future. This is not an option. This is a necessity. The next major priority for me and for all of us should be to lower the cost of healthcare and prescription drugs and to protect patients with pre-existing conditions. Already as a result of my administration's efforts in 2018, drug prices experienced their single largest decline in 46 years. But we must do more. It's unacceptable that Americans pay vastly more than people in other countries for the exact same drugs, often made in the exact same place. This is wrong, this is unfair, And together, we will stop it. And we'll stop it fast. I am asking Congress to pass legislation that finally takes on the problem of global freeloading and delivers fairness and price transparency for American patients, finally. We should also require drug companies, insurance companies, and hospitals to disclose real prices to foster competition and bring costs way down. No force in history has done more to advance the human condition than American freedom. In recent years, we have made remarkable progress in the fight against HIV and AIDS. Scientific breakthroughs have brought a once distant dream within reach. My budget will ask Democrats and Republicans to make the needed commitment to eliminate the HIV epidemic in the United States within 10 years. We have made incredible strides, incredible. Together, we will defeat AIDS in America and beyond. Tonight, I am also asking you to join me in another fight that all Americans can get behind, the fight against childhood cancer. Joining Melania in the gallery this evening is a very brave 10-year-old girl, Grace Eline. Every birthday, hi, Grace. Every birthday since she was 4, Grace asked her friends to donate to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. She did not know that one day she might be a patient herself. That's what happened. Last year, Grace was diagnosed with brain cancer. Immediately, she began radiation treatment. At the same time, she rallied her community and raised more than $40,000 for the fight against cancer. When Grace completed treatment last fall, her doctors and nurses cheered. They loved her. They still love her. With tears in their eyes as she hung up a poster that read, "Last day of chemo." Thank you very much, Grace. You are a great inspiration to everyone in this room. Thank you very much. Many childhood cancers have not seen new therapies in decades. My budget will ask Congress for $500 million over the next 10 years to fund this critical life-saving research. To help support working parents, the time has come to pass school choice for Americans' children. I am also proud to be the first president to include in my budget a plan for nationwide paid family leave so that every new parent has the chance to bond with their newborn child. There could be no greater contrast to the beautiful image of a mother holding her infant child than the chilling displays our nation saw in recent days. Lawmakers in New York cheered with delight upon the passage of legislation that would allow a baby to be ripped from the mother's womb moments from birth. These are living, feeling, beautiful babies who will never get the chance to share their love and their dreams with the world. And then we had the case of the governor of Virginia, where he stated he would execute a baby after birth. To defend the dignity of every person, I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children who can feel pain in a mother's womb. Let us work together to build a culture that cherishes innocent life. And let us reaffirm a fundamental truth. All children, born and unborn, are made in the holy image of God. The final part of my agenda is to protect American security. Over the last 2 years, we have begun to fully rebuild the United States military with $700 billion last year and $716 billion this year. We are also getting other nations to pay their fair share. Finally, for years, the United States was being treated very unfairly by friends of ours, members of NATO. But now we have secured, over the last couple of years, more than $100 billion of increase in defense spending from our NATO allies. They said it couldn't be done. As part of our military buildup, the United States is developing a state-of-the-art missile defense system. under my administration, we will never apologize for advancing America's interests. For example, decades ago, the United States entered into a treaty with Russia in which we agreed to limit and reduce our missile capability. While we followed the agreement and the rules to the letter, Russia repeatedly violated its terms. It's been going on for many years. That is why I announced that the United States is officially withdrawing from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or INF Treaty. Perhaps we really have no choice. Perhaps we can negotiate a different agreement, adding China and others, or perhaps we can't, in which case we will outspend and out-innovate all others by far. As part of a bold new diplomacy, we continue our historic push for peace on the Korean Peninsula. Our hostages have come home. Nuclear testing has stopped, and there has not been a missile launch in more than 15 months. If I had not been elected President of the United States, we would right now, in my opinion, be in a major war with North Korea. Much work remains to be done, but my relationship with Kim Jong-un is a good one. Chairman Kim and I will meet again on February 27th and 28th in Vietnam. 2 weeks ago, the United States officially recognized the legitimate government of Venezuela and its new president, Juan Guaido. We stand with the Venezuelan people in their noble quest for freedom, and we condemn the brutality of the Maduro regime, whose socialist policies have turned that nation from being the wealthiest in South America into a state of abject poverty and despair. Here in the United States, we are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country. America was founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free. Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country. One of the most complex set of challenges we face and have for many years is in the Middle East. Our approach is based on principle realism. not discredited theories that have failed for decades to yield progress. For this reason, my administration recognized the true capital of Israel and proudly opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. Our brave troops have now been fighting in the Middle East for almost 19 years. In Afghanistan and Iraq, nearly 7,000 American heroes have given their lives. More than 52,000 Americans have been badly wounded. We have spent more than $7 trillion in fighting wars in the Middle East. As a candidate for president, I loudly pledged a new approach. Great nations do not fight endless wars. When I took office, ISIS controlled more than 20,000 square miles in Iraq and Syria just 2 years ago. Today, we have liberated virtually all of the territory from the grip of these bloodthirsty monsters. Now, as we work with our allies to destroy the remnants of ISIS, it is time to give our brave warriors in Syria a warm welcome home. I have also accelerated our negotiations to reach, if possible, a political settlement in Afghanistan. The opposing side is also very happy to be negotiating. Our troops have fought with unmatched valor, and thanks to their bravery, we are now able to pursue a possible political solution to this long and bloody conflict. In Afghanistan, my administration is holding constructive talks with a number of Afghan groups, including the Taliban. As we make progress in these negotiations, we will be able to reduce our troops' presence and focus on counterterrorism, and we will indeed focus on counterterrorism. We do not know whether we'll achieve an agreement, but we do know that after 2 decades of war, the hour has come to at least try for peace, and the other side would like to do the same thing. It's time. Above all, friend and foe alike must never doubt this nation's power and will to defend our people. 18 years ago, violent terrorists attacked the USS Cole, and last month, American forces killed one of the leaders of that attack. We are honored to be joined tonight by Tom Wibberley, whose son, Navy Seaman Craig Wibberley, was one of the 17 sailors we tragically lost Tom, we vow to always remember the heroes of the USS Cole. Thank you, Tom. My administration has acted decisively to confront the world's leading state sponsor of terror, the radical regime in Iran. It is a radical regime. They do bad, bad things. To ensure this corrupt dictatorship never acquires nuclear weapons, I withdrew the United States from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. And last fall, we put in place the toughest sanctions ever imposed by us on a country. We will not avert our eyes from a regime that chants death to America and threatens genocide against the Jewish people. We must never ignore the vile poison of anti-Semitism or those who spread its venomous creed. With one voice, we must confront this hatred anywhere and everywhere it occurs. Just months ago, 11 Jewish Americans were viciously murdered in an anti-Semitic attack on the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. SWAT officer Timothy Matson raced into the gunfire and was shot 7 times chasing down the killer, and he was very successful. Timothy has just had his 12th surgery, and he's going in for many more. But he made the trip to be here with us tonight. Officer Matson, please. Thank you. We are forever grateful. Thank you very much. Tonight, we are also joined by Pittsburgh survivor, Judah Samet. He arrived at the synagogue as the massacre began. But not only did Judah narrowly escape death last fall, more than 7 decades ago, he narrowly survived the Nazi concentration camps. Today is Judah's 81st birthday. They wouldn't do that for me, Judah. Judah says he can still remember the exact moment nearly 75 years ago, after 10 months in a concentration camp, when he and his family were put on a train and told they were going to another camp. Suddenly, the train screeched to a very strong halt. A soldier appeared. Judah's family braced for the absolute worst. Then his father cried out with joy, "It's the Americans! It's the Americans!" Thank you. A second Holocaust survivor was here tonight. Joshua Kaufman was a prisoner at Dachau. He remembers watching through a hole in the wall of a cattle car as American soldiers rolled in with tanks. To me, Joshua recalls the American soldiers were proof that God exists, and they came down from the sky. They came down from heaven. I began this evening by honoring 3 soldiers who fought on D-Day in the Second World War. One of them was Herman Zaitchik. But there is more to Herman's story. A year after he stormed the beaches of Normandy, Herman was one of the American soldiers who helped liberate Dachau. He was one of the Americans who helped rescue Joshua from that hell on earth. Almost 75 years later, Herman and Joshua are both together in the gallery tonight, seated side by side, here in the home of American freedom. Herman and Joshua, your presence this evening is very much appreciated. Thank you very much. Thank you. When American soldiers set out beneath the dark skies over the English Channel in the early hours of D-Day 1944, they were just young men of 18 and 19 hurtling on fragile landing craft toward the most momentous battle in the history of war. They did not know if they would survive the hour. They did not know if they would grow old, but they knew that America had to prevail. Their cause was this nation and generations yet unborn. Why did they do it? They did it for America. They did it for us. Everything that has come since our triumph over communism, our giant leaps of science and discovery, our unrivaled progress towards equality and justice. All of it is possible thanks to the blood and tears and courage and vision of the Americans who came before. Think of this Capitol. Think of this very chamber where lawmakers before you voted to end slavery, to build the railroads and the highways, and defeat fascism, to secure civil rights, and to face down evil empires. Here tonight, we have legislators from across this magnificent republic. You have come from the rocky shores of Maine and the volcanic peaks of Hawaii, from the snowy woods of Wisconsin and the red deserts of Arizona, from the green farms of Kentucky and the golden beaches of California. Together we represent the most extraordinary nation in all of history. What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? I ask the men and women of this Congress, look at the opportunities before us. Our most thrilling achievements are still ahead. Our most exciting journeys still await. Our biggest victories are still to come. We have not yet begun to dream. We must choose whether we are defined by our differences or whether we dare to transcend them. We must choose whether we squander our great inheritance or whether we proudly declare that we are Americans. We do the incredible. We defy the impossible. We conquer the unknown. This is the time to reignite the American imagination. This is the time to search for the tallest summit and set our sights on the brightest star. This is the time to rekindle the bonds of love and loyalty and memory that link us together as citizens, as neighbors, as patriots. This is our future, our fate, and our choice to make. I am asking you to choose greatness. No matter the trials we face, no matter the challenges to come, we must go forward together. We must keep America first in our hearts. We must keep freedom alive in our souls. And we must always keep faith in America's destiny. That one nation, under God, must be the hope and the promise and the light and the glory among all the nations of the world. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
There it is, President Trump wrapping up his third speech to the House chamber, his second State of the Union, echoing the key themes of his campaign, Make America Great Again, by telling the American people to choose greatness, telling the members of Congress tonight to choose greatness. He said coming in it would be a call to unity, and there were moments that unified that chamber tonight. Cheer those D-Day veterans. For the first smaller investigation. No, they didn't say by name. A choice that